Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this digital accountancy show webinar. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Just some quick housekeeping tips from me before we get started. So today's webinar is going to last 60 minutes. We do have a chat box and a question and answers box on the right-hand side in the control panel. So if you'd like to ask any questions as we go through today's webinar, please just pop those in there, and after each speaker has gone through their slot, we'll ask them some questions, and any questions that don't get answered, we'll send those off to the guys so they can get those back to you. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if you'd like a copy of that and you'd like to pass it on to colleagues or listen to it again, then please let me know. My email address will be on the email that goes out after the webinar. So yeah, just drop me a line and I can get that over to you. And just one final tip on the kind of housekeeping side of things is if you have other applications open and other kind of web browsers open and other tabs, if you close those down, you'll get a much better signal and better performance from the webinar platform. So yeah, please do that, and you'll get the best experience possible. So my name's Dan Cockerton. I'm one of the directors here at the Digital Accountancy Show. And really, to give you a bit of background on me, so I've worked in the accountancy sector for nearly 10 years. Recently, I did a stint over at Xero for a number of years. And on a day-to-day basis, I would often meet with lots of accountants up and down the country, as well as meeting some really quite awesome and incredible apps and software companies. And the idea of the show and the webinars came from, you know, how can I have more of an impact? How can I really bridge the gap between some of these really awesome app and software companies and ultimately bring them to the masses and bring them to accountants up and down the country at a greater level? So that's where the ideas come from. So we're really committed as a business to really help accountancy firms explore all the opportunities to a digital future, how we can help improve efficiency within the practice, and how we can improve client experience. I'm delighted to welcome today Trent McLaren from Practice Ignition, Darren Upson from Soldo, and Louise Sellers from Senta. These are three software companies that I've known for a few years now, and the feedback that I'm getting from accountants is exceptional. So we've asked these three companies specifically to join us on today's webinar to show you some of the features and functionality, and ultimately what some of the benefits are to working with companies such as the three that we're featuring today, to help you within the practice and also help your clients. So to kick things off today, I'm going to hand you over to Trent McLaren at Practice Ignition. So Trent, I'm just going to make you the presenter. Hopefully you get the message pop up on your screen, and I'll take you off mute as well.
Fantastic. Hopefully you can hear me okay. You can see the screen okay?
Yep, looks good.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Dan. And yeah, we're very excited to be sponsoring the Digital Accountancy Show. We're also looking at the post drinks, or what we like to call the pre-con conference drinks, which will be a good time. We'll have much more info about that soon too. But today I've got 20 minutes to run you through what Practice Ignition does. And my goal with this is always to make sure you come out of this understanding, like in a sentence, exactly what we do, who do we do it for, and how does that impact you? Is this something that you should be considering for your own practice? Or maybe you've got clients in a professional services industry that you think, you know what, they could do with a much better job of signing contracts, getting paid. And what you can sort of see here on the screen is actually the first thing you also see when you hit our website, which is practiceignition.com. We talk about our system as going from proposal to paid in one place. So what that means is you've got a smart contract that also has a payment gateway built directly into that agreement. So we're tying your payments to your contract, and that contract or your engagement letter is your scope and original source of truth. So if the scope of the work ever changes, that automatically updates the payment schedule and the invoice schedule. And I'm going to break down exactly the problems and pain points that we see every single day when we chat to accounting firms. A little bit of our origin story. We were born and built out of a cloud accounting firm back in 2011 in Sydney. We are now based all over the world. We service just over 3,000 accounting firms globally. We've engaged just over 130,000 proposals actively today. So that's an accounting firm engaging their clients. So that's just over 130,000. And we process just over $350 million worth of payments for accounting firms every single month, which is super exciting. Now, as I mentioned, our origin story was built and based out of an accounting firm in Sydney. They were at the time they became a Xero Platinum firm really quickly over a 5-year period. This is back when Xero was kind of the only cloud accounting solution available back in those days. The biggest challenge they had was that they were bringing on 5 to 10 new clients a week, and every single agreement and proposal was built in a Word document scenario. So when we talk about the problems that you face in your business, it generally looks and sounds a little bit like this. You're typically creating ad hoc proposals in Word, or maybe in another proposal system that is disconnected or disparate from the rest of your platform. And if you are doing it in Word or over email or whatever it may be, this can result in a lot of embarrassing mistakes. You're mixing up client info, you've got typos. Not everyone in your team has the exact template that you should be using with your clients. And I think the other point of that is that if you are updating your engagement letters once every 12 months or every 2 to 3 years, we're not actually bothering to send out the new updated amended agreements to all of our clients because it's too hard and we don't always see the value in it until something goes wrong, obviously. At that point, we find a lot of people are still manually chasing clients for them to sign the agreement, to pay for the services, and everything in between. So let me just wrap you through a current scenario, and this could be you. This could be you today. So on the left-hand side is your Word document engagement letter, and I'm walking you through the process that we see the majority of accounting firms still using today all over the world. Specifically, you have to meet a new client, sit them down, talk it through it, but before they can become a customer, you need them to sign off on this engagement letter. And typically that means you have to edit, print it, sign it, scan it, and then send it to the client. If you're lucky, the printer works the first time you went to use it. In my case, there wasn't enough ink in the printer the first time. Outside of that, when you then go to send it to your client, it's the same process. They have to print it, sign it, scan it, and send it back. Now, I guess in 2019, where digital first impressions is everything that we are talking about, that client experience is so key, sending a Word document manually to your client over email is not setting a good expectation of what your firm is supposed to be or trying to be about. It's actually very time intensive, labor intensive as well. This can take days, if not weeks sometimes, just to get this fully agreement all signed off and sorted. And then when you start talking about things like AML, getting to fill in and set up a direct debit or a standing order, this stuff is really painful that it shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be. We talk about how do you get paid, and the biggest problem I see for a lot of accountants is that they send out their invoices at the end of the month and they just hope their clients will pay on the due date because that's what they said they would do when they signed off on your agreement. But typically, and you probably do this today as well, when you get an email with an invoice in it, what's the first thing you do? Do you pull out your credit card and pay that invoice straight away? No, I can tell you I definitely don't. And as soon as you give someone the option to pay or to not pay, you've lost control of your cash flow. So your cash flow is actually reliant on someone doing the right thing. But as soon as you give someone a choice, you lose full control. So we want to make sure that accounting firms actually have control of their own cash flow, let alone sitting down and talking to a client about their cash flow and saying, how do you improve your business processes? If you've got debtors in your firm, it's not because you've got bad payers, it's because you've got a broken process that doesn't allow you to keep full control of the payments getting processed in your business. The last piece is actually keeping track of all of your engagements. And we find that when I sit down with a group of partners and I ask them, tell me about, how many clients are you winning per month? What are your most performing services? What are the best profitable ones? Or, on average for the month, for the year, as a percentage, I get a little blank stares because they can't tell me because they don't know. And when they start to push this information together, different partners using different systems, it starts to look a little bit like a German spreadsheet. Now, unless you know how to translate German for me, again, it's very hard to digest and really hard to keep track of how the business is actually performing. This is exactly the 3 key sort of problems I'd love you to think about when you think about Practice Ignition. We are combining everything into one simple transaction. You're pricing your services, you're displaying the scope and service of those fees, we're collecting the billing information in one place, and then we are automatically creating the engagement letter for your client to digitally sign off on, which you can see here at the bottom. So it looks like this. What you're doing is now turning your proposal or your onboarding process into a very, very powerful sales tool. What you can see here is a marketing brochure that you can embed inside Practice Ignition. On the right-hand side, this will then scope out and list off the services that you're selling. So it could be a bookkeeping service, it could be advisory services. These are things that you get in your account automatically. So we have pricing templates, we have scope of service templates. So if you're not sure how to do fixed fee or value pricing-based scenarios, our platform has been built on that pricing methodology, built on an accounting firm that has scaled to over 2 million in fees in a 5-year period. So we live and breathe how accounting firms work in 2019. We very much think that we're so in tune, we believe, based on the experience and the help we've been able to provide to accounting firms to date. The second part of this is then putting the payment information into your proposal. So that's both credit card or direct debit. This is a Practice Ignition payment gateway. We are the payment provider. So we're both a contract engine and a payment system all in one. And when you start to think about all-in-one type systems, you start to think deeper integration, less systems, less places to go and have to manually update different things. If I give you that scenario back, you're manually creating an engagement letter. You're then manually raising and creating an invoice. Maybe you're making it a recurring invoice. And then you're having to match up and send the mandate for direct debit to your client. These are all steps that you can eliminate by bringing it down to one simple, seamless system where your client can't sign your agreement unless they've given you the billing information. Once they then sign off, it's super quick. To create it super quick, they just type in their name, we capture the date, the IP address, and the time of day. This becomes a legally binding agreement. Again, with just over 130,000 proposals accepted globally, we've got some really cool metrics that show on average how quick you can get these things signed once you get them out the door. To sort of wrap up what that means, if I talked about the 3 pain points, this is the 3 solutions to that. So you're sending a proposal, includes your terms, your conditions, is that marketing brochure, and a section for your clients to pay you and sign off on the agreement. We then automatically collect those payments every single month. It can be a recurring payment, or it can be an ad hoc payment, and it can be direct debit, credit card, or both. You might have a client say, I want to do credit card this month, direct debit the next month, and you can easily swap and change between the different providers, those payment systems in the system. On the far right here, we're also then saying that we're then forecasting out all of your data. So I can tell you what your revenue will look like month on month. I can show you what your best performing services are, and I can actually show you what your cash flow is with a split between direct debit or credit card payments. We also do really cool things like automated follow-ups, and we give you better insights into your proposal and sales process. So when you send a proposal to a client, or maybe you send 10 or 20, you're doing renewals, fee upgrades, whatever it may be, we automatically send follow-ups to them if they have not signed your agreement, and we can do that based on a period that you set. It could be every 3 days, it could be every 7 days. We then notify you as soon as the client opens the proposal so that you've got, again, insights to say that they are looking at your agreement and you know what's going on. And this is where a lot of the magic really starts to happen. So what are the really kind of key benefits to all this? Well, you're not chasing clients for payments anymore. You've actually taken care of this before you've even started doing any work. So before they worked, you've started working and setting up their jobs, doing their tasks. We're automatically collecting these payments in one hit. We then automatically push that into, say, things like Xero, QuickBooks Online, and we reconcile it automatically. So when a client signs off on your agreement in Practice Ignition, you may never, ever have to touch their invoice again or reconcile it again. So we actually set up your accounts receivable to be automated, to be effortless, to be really, really simple. We then forecast out all this information into our dashboard, and I'm actually going to show you a little bit about this in a second. Some of the results to kind of come and crow home about, and again, as I said, this is over 3,000 accounting firms, 130,000 active proposals on the platform today. We find 91% of our customers spend less time creating proposals, chasing signatures, and payments. 87% were able to cancel other software subscriptions. I've met firms that use proposal systems, payment systems, and then your accounting system, and then maybe even a forecasting tool, 4 different tools, when really actually you could manage all of this inside Practice Ignition in one place. So, you don't need 4 different logins. You don't need to manually update one system and then have to go and do it again somewhere else. Everything is tied and lives and breathes through your contract in Practice Ignition. 80% have fewer or no unpaid invoices at any given time. If you're sitting there going, yeah, we've actually got 10 to 20,000 pounds worth of debtors in our practice, we can help fix that really quickly. Put them all on a payment plan for 6 to 12 months, give them the option of credit card or direct debit to pay it back, and just watch that money start to come back and claw back. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. Not all clients are good, but we've let them get to this point by not having a good process, by taking back control, putting them in a payment plan that we can start to take that control back, start to improve your cash flow as this goes through. The other really cool thing we start to see is that a majority of our customers are starting to close bigger and better deals because they actually have now a much better professional approach to their sales and client onboarding. If you hate setting up software, and I think I've been in software for nearly 9 or 10 years, especially on the accounting side, there's always trouble trying to implement and set these things up. Our team will do this for you. So my team will actually build a marketing brochure for you. We will map out your engagement letter into our account for you. So you just give us your current engagement letter. We'll map it out, get it into your system. We will train you as well. So we'll train you and your team. You get a dedicated custom success manager for the first 90 days. And their goal is just to make sure that you get set up in that period, because we know the first 90 days is the most crucial. Once you get through 90 days, you get a dedicated account manager, which you can contact and call anytime you like. They are based here in London. We actually just moved into a 10-seater office right here in Holborn. And there is currently 8 of us, which is a good time. But they're all customer-facing agents, reps. So we're humans just like you, and we're based here in London. And I promise that most of them are British. They're not Australian like me. So for people that are interested in that, you can actually get started and try it out. There's a 14-day trial. Feel free to go to the website, practiceignition.com, to see and do that. But before because I've still got 7 minutes here, I want to give you a bit more of a deeper dive into what this looks like. But as I said, if you want to try it out, do a trial. It's free, no credit card required. You can see how it works, jump on there. You can also book in a demo through that part of our website as well. So feel free to do that. You can see this on the homepage, the book a demo, try it free button. And you can also scroll through and see a lot of the images that I've shown you today are actually on the website. But when we dive into Practice Ignition, what does it actually look like? Okay, so this is me showing you inside your account and how we can forecast out all of your revenue, diving into some of the details in more depth, telling you what your monthly recurring revenue looks like, your payments, cash flow, best performing services, and even things like your conversion rate. But when I want to look at a proposal, so this is one that I had prepared earlier. So I've gone in and created the services. It's very easy to pick from your library of services, but I'm going to view the client experience. So I send it to the client, they click view proposal, and this is what they come to. The marketing brochure is embedded here on the left-hand side. They can ask a question with my team if they like to by adding in their question here. And they simply step through this like it's an e-commerce checkout experience. So let's pretend you're shopping for a holiday, a handbag, a t-shirt, whatever it may be. That is your checkout process here on the right. So we get the summary and scope of the work. We can see a schedule for payment. So it's £200 a month. It's £500 on completion of the service. And then they have to put in the billing information. So this can be credit card or direct debit, depending on what I've got set up on my account. And when I go off to sign off, I've got my engagement letter built automatically. I can tick it, I can sign it. And if I try to accept it, it will work. And then from there, we can then trigger and push off into different client onboarding experiences. So again, really simple, really straightforward. You can see the conversations coming into the account. If they do have questions, you'll get a list of all the invoices and payments here if they have, once that starts to trigger. And that will link back to Xero or QuickBooks Online as well. Now, you've also got Senta on the call today, and Senta are an amazing workflow solution, and I'm probably not doing it justice even by saying that, but there is actually a tie-in between Practice Ignition and Senta. The idea being that when a proposal gets accepted in Practice Ignition, we can automatically deploy these services to generate and push into Senta. There's a really cool video you can watch on the Senta website on how to connect Practice Ignition with Senta, and I'd recommend you definitely check that out. But what we're really saying here is that once the proposal's signed, we're not only triggering your payments, your invoices automatically, we can start to trigger the job deployment into tools like Senta. The one thing I haven't shown, which is always really cool, is that we can integrate Practice Ignition also into your website. So our founder, Guy Pearson, Interactive Accounting was the firm he grew out all those years ago now, they now integrate practice ignition to the website for pricing and to help screen out clients they do or don't want to work with. So by clicking on whatever these packages are here, this automatically pops up. This window is practice ignition. And as they scroll through and they can see the services that they've picked on that package, the optional services piece actually now allows them to go through and tick what they want. This is actually a really good thing you can sit down and do with your clients as well. So if you sit down with your clients and say, look, we want to add on the basic accounting package, there's a bit of information there. You can talk through what's relevant to them, and this will automatically calculate a price in the background. So you can see that this is calculating upfront monthly charges on completion. If I want to go back and adjust this out, totally can, and that will automatically calculate the price here on this end. This then automatically creates a draft back in practice ignition, which I can then send to my client. And this brings me back to the client experience that we had a look at before. So that's a really cool way that a lot of people don't know they can do with us, which is integrated to the website, or using this as your sit down with the client face to face or over the phone and help tick through a few different options that you've got set up for them. My team can actually help you run through this as well. We do, as part of our training and onboarding, is helping you make the most of every feature in practice ignition. In terms of price points, because that's always something people want to know, how much is it going to cost to run this kind of service? Everything I've shown you today is listed in our professional plan. So when I talk about workflow integrations, when I talk about custom branding and marketing brochures, email templates, or building it into your website, that is based on our professional plan. This also gives you 250 active clients. So if you're a team, like a structured team of 2, 3, 4, 5 people, you probably have up to 100 clients or more. That professional plan is really good. Our starter plan is really good if you are a sole trader, you're working by yourself, you only work with a handful of clients, and you want to be able to get proposals built and created quickly in a short period of time. Our starter plan is a great place for you to start on that scenario. So that more or less is practice ignition in a nutshell, in a 20-minute overview. So when you're thinking about us, please think about proposal to paid in one place. It's contracts, it's all your pricing, it's all the payments all tied into one. And then we automatically trigger recurring invoices in both Xero and QuickBooks. So if you're manually creating a recurring invoice every time you have a client sign your agreement or sign a proposal, you don't have to do that anymore. 2019, this is the year of automation, and you should be embracing that as much as you can. And we definitely do our best job to try and help you do that. Dan, I'm going to pause there. There's a minute 20 on my clock. So if there's any questions anyone wants to run through, we can definitely do that now, if that makes sense.
Trent, that's brilliant. Thanks so much for that. Really, really nice overview into a really great product that can have really a huge impact within the accountancy practice. I think you outlined the current state of play for many a firm up and down the country about the whole, printing it, signing it, putting it back in the post. It really kind of speeds things up. And one of the things I like about, your software is it enables the accountant to sign up the client, if they're in a position to do so, to sign up the client there and then. Not have to wait a week to get the paperwork out, and more time to get the paperwork back. Let's start getting the money in straight away, which is ideal and which is really great. One of the questions that's come in from James, hi James, is how do you come up with the fixed fee pricing that's built into the software?
There's two ways. So we have pricing templates that are built in already, but we talk more so about building profitable services that you can scale. So we look about bundling, we talk about grouping services. We have a whole bunch of content on how you can either create your own or take our 50 best practice templates. Those 50 best practice templates are priced with the scope of the work in them already. But again, these are the things that our team can sit there and work through with. So if you don't have a best practice service library, you can use the one that we've got. And that's actually based on over 500 UK firms. So we've surveyed those firms based on the data we have, figured out that this is what they were charging on average for those accounting services. Your goal then is to either increase or decrease that fee, depending on what you find is most appropriate.
Cool. And I suppose it's a case of trial and error, right? You're not going to nail it first time round. It might come up a bit high or a bit too low, and you just kind of work out over time, right? So, great.
Yeah,
thanks.
No worries. I mean, my last comment there's no silver pricing. It's no silver bullet when it comes to pricing. It's about having the confidence to be able to understand what you believe the service is worth, but it's also understanding, is this service profitable? Do we have a good margin on it? How do we fix that? and creates that efficiencies in our practice. So it's not just about selling a higher price service, it's making sure that you can scale this service at a good margin across the whole business.
Brilliant. I've just got a couple more questions if we can fire through these in a minute. First one is coming from Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Hope you and Steve are well. If you have a director with more than one company, does it all go on one proposal, or can it go on one proposal?
It can go on one proposal if the firm's happy to do it in one proposal. There's multiple ways that we talk about how to do that, whether you want to do it over two proposals, over one. But again, we would tackle that scenario with Susan. We'd tackle that with you one-on-one to see what the best outcome is for you and for your client.
Okay, brilliant. And then one final question from Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Can we use Practice Ignition without the section where the client inputs their payment details, i.e. can you use it without the direct debit function? Yeah,
you definitely can, and that would be totally fine. You just remove that section from PI, so you've only got section 1, section 2. I always love to challenge firms on why they would do it that way, because you do end up creating more work for yourself, because you're creating multiple processes essentially. If you've got people paying through other systems that are disconnected and still creating more work for yourself. But yes, in short, you can remove the payments, but I'd always love to sit down and review exactly what's going to be the most optimal experience for both you and for your client.
Awesome. Trent, thanks so much. In 20 minutes, that was an exceptional overview into the product. So thanks so much for that. If anyone has any further questions, please pop them over to us either in here or email them over to me at a later date, and we'll get Trent to answer those for you. Trent, thanks so much. I'm just going to mute you now and pass over to Darren Upson. Darren, if you bear with me 2 seconds, I'll just make you the presenter on the screen, and hopefully you'll get a message that pops up, and I'll just unmute you as well. And hopefully that's come up. Perfect. Hi, Darren.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. And you?
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview in terms of what Soldo is, what you can expect from this, what's different about Soldo from some of the other solutions in the marketplace. And if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to let us know. So very briefly, so a little bit of background about Soldo. So we were founded back in 2015. Up until now, we've raised more than $80 million, all led by tier 1 VCs. We as an organisation are regulated and authorised by both the Financial Conduct Authority and also the Central Bank of Ireland, which is a key differentiator between us and some of the other solutions in the market. Headquartered in London, offices in Rome, Milan and Dublin. There's about 120 of us at the moment. We're currently scheduled to double that team within the next 6 months. We work with any existing business bank account. So we're not a replacement for a business bank account. We are the tool that supercharges any existing business bank account. So the tools that you're used to in a consumer.
Sorry, Darren. Can I just interrupt?
Yeah, sure.
I think a couple of us are seeing a blank white screen.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those people. So I don't know if it's a setting or.
Can you see a screen now?
No, it's still.
Let me try coming out of this. 2 seconds.
Okay. All right. Yep, we're in. Perfect.
You can see. Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Darren.
Sorry about that. So we supercharge any existing business bank account, and we're ready for open banking and PSD2. So whereas many of your clients at the moment will be using company credit cards feeding through into the accounting platform, so whether it be into Xero, QuickBooks Online, we are ready for open banking and PSD2. So we're not reliant on Yodlee for feeding that information into the accounting platform. We have over 60,000 customers, and they include all the different brands that you've got here, plus a lot of other businesses as well. So we scale from anything from a couple of employees all the way up to thousands of employees and everything in between. Typical sweet spot for us is anything between 5 and 50 employees, which is a great fit for the majority of accountants. So why is spend management? So spend management is a new category that we're trying to establish, but why is spend management an issue in organizations? Well, every company faces certain challenges that require the delegation of spending power. The majority of organizations see the fact that their big pinch point is on employee expenses, typically around travel and entertainment related expenses. But the problem goes a lot deeper than that. At the moment, the status quo for a lot of organizations will be for travel and entertainment related expenses will be that the employee is expected to pay with their own money and then seek reimbursement through the organization. But you've got lots of other use cases in an organization, from online advertising through to SaaS subscriptions, petty cash, cash advances, all the way through to, if you've got a fairly elastic workforce and you've got contractors and temporary staff, the ability to be able to give them the tools to be able to do their job. So spending is a challenge that's not just down to employee expenses, it's much broader than that. And as I say, the problem there is that the status quo of expense reports, so manual expense reports that have to be created by each employee every single month and then checked, reimbursable expenses, credit card sharing, and petty cash and cash advances is simply broken in the 21st century. Most company credit cards are not a viable solution for the majority of employees because they're restricted to senior employees in the organization. But then what happens is those cards are then shared around an organization like confetti, meaning that at the end of the month, you're trying to reconcile and understand who spent what where. Expense management solutions in isolation. So if you're looking at a purely an expense management solution, it deals with the problem after the horse has already bolted. They're too reactive and they only manage the process after the money has already been spent. So there's no preemptive controls in there whatsoever. It's incredibly onerous and time-consuming manual administration for the employees, but also for the finance team and in the organization, and also for you as the accountancy firm as well. Receiving a bag or box of receipts and expecting to do magical things with those on a monthly basis is a tough ask. And then there's a distinct lack of visibility and control of spend within a business. So typically at the moment, if you think about a typical scenario, if you've got a mix of company credit cards and reimbursable expenses, what you have there is a situation where you don't know your liability until the end of the month when the statement comes in or when the expense claims come into the organization. And we did some research looking at the broader challenge in organizations, and we found the fact that there's around a 1.9 billion pound problem in terms of fraudulent expense claims going through organizations, and that ranges from people rounding up receipts or putting fraudulent expense claims through, all the way just to actually not realizing that they're making mistakes in that process because it's so manual. There are calculations in spreadsheets and various other things that cause the problem. What Soldo does is it automates that entire process. So you simply spend the money, you use the card, you pay, you snap the receipt, you categorize the expense, and away you go. So it's very, very straightforward. But the flip side of this is the fact that although there's a 1.9 billion pound fraud problem, there's actually an even more significant problem in organizations where employees find the problem too onerous that they don't actually bother to submit expense claims. So they're left out of pocket and effectively subsidizing the organization. So our vision is, if you think about the majority of organizations, every employee is given the tools to be able to do their job, whether it be a communication tool, business apps, or management tools. We believe that every employee deserves a tool to be able to cover their payments and expenses. So we think that the employees should be empowered to spend company money in a more responsible way by giving them the tools to be able to make payments, to be able to do their job, and actually be able to be more productive in the workplace. And that's for both employee expenses and covering organizational spend as well. The process is really simple. If you can make a payment using a card, you can make a payment using Soldo. So literally, you spend the money, whether it's contactless or chip and pin. You're alerted immediately to take a photograph of the receipt and categorize that expense. We pull through all of the nominal codes from the accounting platform, so you can categorize the expense based on an existing nominal. We also pull through the VAT rates from the chart of accounts, so all of that gets applied automatically. And then once that's been pulled through, all the admin needs to do, all finance or accounting needs to do, is press the sync button and it pushes straight across into Xero or whatever your accounting software might be. At the moment, we're limited to Xero, but we have an integration with QuickBooks Online coming up very, very shortly. And you can do a 2-click export process to any other accountancy software. So how does Soldo work? So we're a multi-user expense account. Typically, financial services products are designed to be single-user products, whether it be a company credit card, a bank account, whatever it might be. Soldo is designed from the ground up to be a multi-user solution. The way that you do this, you manage this, is you issue cards to people, also to departments. You allocate money and budgets to the different stakeholders around the organization. And then for the different use cases, so for most employees, it's related to travel expenses. For departments, you're talking about e-commerce and online payments and subscription payments as well. And you can make this as complex as you need to, creating whatever departments or whatever teams you want to in your organization. The advanced spending controls. So one of the things that sets us apart from company credit cards, reimbursable expenses, and also some of the other solutions in our space as well, is the level of spending controls that are available within the Soldo platform. So you can issue both plastic and virtual cards. Virtual cards are for use online only, and then you've got plastic cards that can be given to employees and departments to be able to be used as in the same way as any other plastic card. You set bespoke rules for employees, so you can say how much they can spend in an individual transaction, how much they can spend per day, what the allowable spend categories are as well, and where they can use their money. So in terms of the actual card itself, can they make transactions online? Can they use it for contactless? Can they use it at a cash point? If they can use it at a cash point, how much money can they withdraw in a day, and so on and so forth? And you can set geographical restrictions. So if you want to limit that card to only be used in the UK, or you want to set it to be used in certain geographical locations, you can absolutely do that from within the actual the admin settings on the card as well. So as I say, in addition to that, you can set the daily, weekly, and monthly budgets for users, and you can control those spending categories as well. As I said before, as soon as you take a photograph, as soon as you make a purchase, you're prompted to take a photograph of the receipt. You capture those receipts instantly. They feed through into the back office. We also have a bank feed with Xero as well, and the bank feed means that all of those transactions are coming through seamlessly into Xero, which means that when you export the transactions from Soldo into Xero, you go to the bank reconciliation screen, it matches all of the transactions up, and you just click OK to reconcile. You capture receipts at the moment of purchase, as I say, tag transactions to cost centers. If it's a billable expense, so we support zero billable expenses, what you can do is you can actually allocate from within the app itself. We pull through all of the contacts within Xero into Soldo, so you can allocate directly to a particular client from within there. And then you can add notes and categories to the expenses, and then push that straight across. Once records are complete, they can then be exported by the admin. So it's great for clients, but also perfect for the practice as well. So the benefit of Soldo is it automates the receipt capture process for your clients and pushes in rich spending data directly into Xero. We have an unparalleled integration with Xero. So I mentioned already the automatic bank feed with full accounting integration. The way that works is, although you may have 20 cards on the Soldo account, there is a single bank feed that feeds through into Xero. What then happens is on the actual bank feed, it has the name of the actual card associated on the bank feed itself, also the last 4 digits of the card as well. So it makes it easier from a reconciliation perspective as well. We also support Xero billable expenses and tracking categories. And as I mentioned before, you import the Xero categories for simple coding, and we inherit the VAT rules from the Xero chart of accounts. So with this, you can say goodbye to the bag or box of receipts and make expense management a joy, both for the client, making their lives easier, but also for you, the practice as well. We have a Soldo partner program, and the partner program is pretty straightforward. All accountancy firms can sign up to Soldo free of charge. When you sign up to Soldo, you get Soldo to be used in your own practice, but it also gives you the ability to then provision and manage all of your client accounts from within your Soldo partner account itself. There are 2 versions of Soldo that are available to provision for your clients. You have Soldo Partner Start, which is free of charge, but it has limited functionality, so it doesn't do receipt capture, and there's a lack of automation, so things like automatic top-ups on the account don't exist with Soldo Partner Start. Soldo Partner Pro shows you everything that I've just been talking about, and clients get the first month free when you sign up for them for this particular solution. You can also choose who pays for the Soldo subscription. So you can choose whether the client needs to sign up directly. You can provision the client directly yourself, and you can choose the billing relationship. So whether you want the billing relationship, the monthly SaaS cost, or whether actually the client should be paying that directly. You do that all within the platform, and it's very, very straightforward to sign clients up. And once you've signed up to be a partner, you become a Soldo Bronze partner immediately. You can sign up for your free practice account today at soldo.com/partner. All of the information around our partner program exists on that particular on the web pages on our website. But if you've got any questions at all on this, you can get in contact with myself or any member of my team. This has been a whistle-stop tour giving you an overview of the platform. But as I say, if you've got any questions at all, I'd love to hear them.
Hi, Darren. Yeah, thanks so much for that, Darren. Really great product, Soldo. And what I like about it, as accountants, when we're in those meetings with clients and prospect meetings, we're always looking to try and find ways to differentiate ourselves to other accountants. And we can do your tax, your VAT, your compliance stuff, no problem. But actually, where we kind of set ourselves apart from other accountancy firms is the way in which we embrace technology, apps, and software to help you automate your own business, Mr. Client. For example, how do you do your expenses? Well, we use Excel spreadsheets, blah, blah, blah. Well, the first thing we do is get you on a Soldo card. To help you automate that part of the business, and we can use it in some other creative areas as well. So a couple of questions. I absolutely love this, and a couple of the companies that we work with use this and absolutely love it. So a couple of questions that have come in. Alice has asked, and I think you might have just mentioned this. You can do tracking categories on Soldo, right?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, great. And Libby has asked, hi Libby, can you link a card to more than one bank account, i.e. an admin account and also a current account, for example?
So you can transfer money so the way that Soldo works is it's an on-top account. So you can transfer money from whichever accounts you want to. Within Soldo, you get your own sort code and account number, and we support faster payments as well. So the way that this works is you can move money from whichever bank account you want to into Soldo. In terms of the actual bank account within Xero, which I think is the question, what you actually do there is you set up a bank account. It's called Soldo, and all the transactions come through to there. So it's tracked as a separate bank account in Xero.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Darren. And last question, does it manage multi-currency?
Yes. So what we actually do is we support 3 currencies. So we support GBP, Euro, and USD. We have, so you can create company wallets in all 3 of those different currencies. When you do that, if you order cards that are, say, a USD card and use it in the US, there's a zero FX charge against that. But what you can do is, if that's only going to be used on an infrequent basis, you can use a GBP card in any country around the world, and you're charged a flat 1% FX fee. So it's much more competitive than the majority of banks, and there are no transaction fees on top of that.
Okay, great. And one final question, and I've said that before, but one's just coming from Mark. Hi, Mark. Is this mainly for staff, as the business owner could obviously pay for any expenses through the company bank accounts? This is for companies with employees, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we call it a multi. So if you're a sole trader, frankly, there are other solutions that are probably more applicable for you. Yeah, you could just use your existing business bank account, or you could sign up for one of the sole trader business accounts that are out there. This is designed as a multi-user platform. So actually, it's designed for where you've got multiple employees. But on top of that, if you've also got a sole trader that has, for example, lots of different costs that they're paying out, whether it be software subscriptions, whether it's other fees that they want to be able to track the budgets associated with those, Soldo is also an applicable solution there as well. So it's not just for employee expenses, it's for company expenses as well, or company payments as well.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for that, Darren. And people that are on the call, if you want to sign up to that 3 Soldo account, just put yes Soldo in the questions box, and we'll make sure we get that information out to you. For me, and I said to Darren before this call, it feels like Soldo is a quick win where we're trying to offer slightly more innovative services to clients. I always ask myself with products like this, is this a revenue stream for us, or is this a added value that we're offering to the client? For me, this sits in the added value column as well. There are some kind of obviously some incentives there, but when we're sitting down with our practice ignition software and we're talking through the services that we offer, this is one of those things that you absolutely have to be talking about. So,
sorry, Dan, one more thing very quickly is the fact that because this is a prepaid solution, there are no credit checks, and actually any account that signs up for Soldo is approved within 24 hours, and they typically receive their card in 2 to 3 days after that. So it's much faster than a typical business bank account to actually get set up as well. So yeah, just to flag that as well.
Okay, great, perfect. Thanks so much, Darren. Really appreciate that. Appreciate your time. Cheers. So I'm just going to pass you over to Louise Sellers from Senta now. If you bear me 2 seconds, Louise, I'll just make you the presenter on the screen. So hopefully that's popped up now and you can accept that.
Great. Can you see my screen right now?
And brilliant, Louise.
Fab. Okay, thanks very much. So I'll just give you a quick overview of Senta before we actually jump into I'll give you a proper demo of Senta during our call as well. and I want to try and get this on-screen thing to go away, but let me continue. So just a background to Senta. So Senta is cloud-based practice management software. So we offer a number of different areas, including CRM for storing all your client data, workflow, and document storage. We also make use of integrations and automation to take a lot of tasks off of your plate, essentially save you a lot of time. And it's suitable for both accountants and bookkeepers. And we also won Best Practice Management Software of the Year 2019 at the Accounting Excellence Awards, which we are really happy about. So the key thing about Senta is the ability to automate and also to make changes to any of the jobs, services, forms, anything else within the site, which I'll show you shortly. And in terms of our integrations, so some of the key ones that we have is one with Companies House, so you can import your companies directly from there. We have integrations with Xero, QuickBooks, and FreeAgent. We've also got one with Practice Ignition, which Trent mentioned earlier. And we recently introduced an AML integration with Credas, so you can do a basic AML check via Senta too. But let me jump over to my Senta screen, and I can actually give you a run through of how Senta works. So as I said before, three main areas of Senta are CRM, workflow, and document storage. So I'll take you through each of those areas. But before I do that, we'll do a quick run through of the dashboard, as this is the place you come to when you first sign into Senta. And this is where you can view key information about what's going on in your practice. So I can see things like what my fees are looking like, how many clients I have organized by the type of entity, whether I've got any overdue tasks coming up. There's also a calendar on that dashboard. And this is fully customizable. So if I want to go in and rearrange these, remove anything I don't want, or if I want to add in any other widgets from the drop-down menu here, then you can get a really good overview of what's happening in your practice. And then if we take a look at our client list, so Senta can act as a centralized database for all of your client information, and it's really easy to transfer over from any other piece of software or from Excel. As long as you have your information in a CSV, we can help you get that imported into the site. And then you can easily access all of your client information from any client list, or you can also save custom lists if you want to view according to certain types of clients. And that's super straightforward. You can just go in and add an extra column for whatever information you're storing about a client. And that will add straight onto the client list. You can also do things like sending out bulk emails directly from the client list. So if I wanted to quickly send out an email to all of my prospect clients in one go, then I could just filter down to those clients, select them, go to send email, and this will create separate emails to all of your clients, including placeholders to ensure these emails are still personalized even though they are going out en masse. So I can type a quick message to my client, and then as soon as I send those emails, they'll go into our practice outbox, which is a place where all emails go before they're waiting to be sent out. And all those emails can be viewed from here. And that means you can still double check on any emails before they go out. You can see the messaging, ensure that things like the company name or the name of the person you're contacting have been pulled through. You can choose whether to send emails out from here or not. Going back to the client list, we can take a look at a client page within Senta. And every client page will show some standard forms, including general information, address, contacts, and you can change any of the details on these pages. So while I can edit this information from here, if I want to add in any other fields, for example, if I wanted to store information like client reference or client's favorite coffee, something like that, to ensure that you have a really personalized service for your clients, then you can also add in any extra fields from here. We also have an email integration in Senta, so whether you're using Gmail or any other email provider, it's really straightforward to get your email set up to configure with to sync with Senta. And what that means is that any email contact between your practice and your clients will display for that client on the email tab, And that's even prior to signing up with Senta. If you've got email contact dating back 10 years, that will all display in one place as well. And we're going to be doing some work coming up in the next few months around email triage, which will give you a bit more power in terms of deciding what actions need to take place based on emails that have come in from your clients or from other sources. You can also easily add in notes to the client page and list the kind of contact. And we also have a document storage system, so you can drag and drop documents straight in. You can create a folder structure for any clients and also request signatures on documents. And we don't have any restriction on the number of documents you store within your site. So I wanted to show you something really straightforward that you can do. The quickest way you can start getting your clients in is if I go and add a company directly from Company's House. So I can find that company, confirm it's the one I want, click on Add Company, and I can add them immediately either as a prospect or as a client. And as soon as I add them as a client, Senta is going to pull through all the general information, address information, all the officer's details directly from Company's House, as well as things like their incorporation date, accounting reference date. All that key information is just added in for you straight away. And then what's really cool about this is we have within this Company's House integration a way that all your accounts jobs and confirmation statement jobs will run automatically based on dates pulled from Company's House. So I can view all of that information from here. And if I go to services, I can just say, right, I want accounts for this client. I can save this, and what Senta will do is it will immediately kick off an accounts job, including a filing date there. And that will recur every year. So every time accounts are filed, we'll kick off the next job, and you'll be reminded to do that by Senta. And any job within Senta will be made up of a number of different tasks. And all of these tasks are fully customizable as well. So we have templates for all the standard compliance jobs that you'd usually run as a practice, which mainly would revolve around, contacting a client, getting their records, completing work, and filing it. But you're fully in control here. You can change any of the tasks to suit exactly the way your practice works. So if you've got a large practice and you want to delegate tasks to a number of different people, you could expand on the number of tasks. Or if you're a smaller practice and you know exactly what you need to do, you could just have a couple of tasks to remind you to complete and file a return. And if we turn on another service for this client, for example, something like a VAT return, it's also very straightforward to go in and turn on that service. And then all you have to do is tell Senta what frequency you want that job to run at, and Senta will start recurring that job at whatever frequency you've requested. So I'm going to go for a quarterly VAT service. We'll get that to repeat based on October. And then as soon as I save this and jump back out to the client page, you can see up here it's saying a few jobs have been created. So we go to the work tab on the client page, we'll see that we now have VAT returns for October, January, and April. And that's going to continue to recur every 3 months automatically. And you'll be reminded of any tasks you need to complete within that job as soon as they come up. And also they'll flag up as overdue if they go past their due date. So if you turn on any other services, by viewing the work tab on the client page, you'll get a real overview of everything that needs to be done for them. And then you can see all of the work that needs to be done across the practice from any task list. So at the moment, what this is going to show me is any tasks I have assigned to myself starting today or earlier. You can see I've got some very old tasks available in there. But I can filter this down and I can say, right, just show me work that I have to do as part of VAT returns. And that's automatically just been filtered down to all my VAT return jobs. And I can even filter this down and say, right, show me any tasks I have to do where I have to email the client about their records. And that lets me know all the clients where I have to complete that work for them as well. And this can also be filtered down in different ways to view specific date ranges, like the current month. I can view different users or multiple users at once from here. And I can also filter if I want to see just anything that's been completed or anything that was cancelled. From any job list, I can also get a sense of work as a whole. So the task list is really good if you want that very granular view of everything that's going on in the practice. You can view user by user exactly what they're doing. And the job list is fantastic for that broader approach. So I want to know for all of my clients exactly what work we're going to be doing for all of them. So from here, I can see all the jobs coming up for my clients with their filing date and payment date. And again, I can filter this down and say, right, show me anything that needs to be filed this month. And then I can really quickly see, right, these are the 7 jobs that I need to be working on at the moment. And for both the task and the job list, you can save custom views of these as well. So I can call this my work this month or practice work this month, and that will be available to refer back to from the work list as well. So it's pretty quickly to get up and running. It's pretty quick to get up and running, get jobs set up for your clients, and really be able to understand exactly what needs to be done when within your practice to allow you to prioritize your work. I've already shown you a bit about documents, but I'll very quickly, because I'm just looking at the time and I know it's cutting it a bit fine, give you a little view behind the scenes, as this is where all the really cool stuff in Senta goes on. You can really make some interesting changes to any of your jobs and really tailor it to suit exactly the way your practice works. So these are all the template jobs that come with Senta. Like I said, we cover most of compliance work. We also have things like bookkeeping jobs, which we've just added in, things like management accounts as well. And if I wanted to make any changes to a job, I could really easily jump in to my VAT return job, go to tasks and say, right, I want to add in another task at the end here where I'm going to let the client know we filed their records. You can very easily go in here, add different task types in, choose exactly when they're going to happen, and then as soon as you save the job, that will add on to any existing jobs within the site as well. So there's a lot of power within there, and Senta does work well out of the box, but I think most people find that once they know they can make these kinds of changes, they start to tweak things a bit, they start to make new jobs from scratch for themselves as well, and it can really take a lot of the work out of remembering to do stuff, because Senta is going to be reminding you on a regular basis. So in terms of where Senta's going at the moment, so we've got some new features which are coming out in time for XeroCon, which is in a couple of weeks' time. So that includes things like Kanban view, production dates, improved Xero integration, including syncing of client data, and some changes to the widgets to make them more customizable and making it easier to view what's going on in your practice as well. So if you're interested in Senta, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial from senta.co. I'll take you over to our site quickly just so you can take a look. So from here, you can read a bit more about all of the features available and our integrations, and you can see our roadmap. And we've also got a pricing calculator available here. So Senta starts from £29 per user per month, and that decreases with scale. So the more users you add, the less per user you're paying. And we also have an annual plan which includes a 20% discount. So if you do have any questions at all, you can contact me at support@senta.co, but I think we've got just about enough time for a couple of questions.
Hi, Louise. Yeah, well done. That was really in 15, 20 minutes. That was
the ultimate toolbar Senta.
That overview. No worries. Just a couple of ones have come in. James, hi, James has asked, I know it's a bit old school, but can I see the time functionality, please? Do you have that in Senta?
We do have a time recording function within Senta. So at the moment, we don't have a sense of timesheets, but if I'm working on any job for a client, let me go into Acme, who I just added. So let's say I'm working on a job, I've just completed some tasks. Let me just open up the accounts job we were looking at before. Once I've turned on time recording, I can click on record time. I can put a start and an end time, or I can just put a duration for it. I can select who completed the work, what the activity type was as well. And then once I save that, it will update the time tab within that job itself. And as more time is recorded, that will give you a total for that as well. And if you've added in a cost sort of per hour for that job, then it will add that together there. And from the main client page as well, you'll be able to see any time that has been recorded against any job for that client. At the moment, we've just got this one bit of work. And we also have a recorded time report, which will show you any time recording across the practice for any client on a filterable list. And that information is all exportable in CSV format as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Louise. Question here that's coming from Mark. Do you provide support to help set up the jobs as we set them up?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of helping you get set up, we have, firstly, we have a really fantastic set of guides and videos to help with that. But if there's specific things where you've come up with something really interesting and you need a hand with it, we can do things like email, phone call, screen share to help you get stuff set up. And occasionally we can offer on-site training for a fee as well.
Okay, so that was my next question from Jerry. Hi, Jerry. So yeah, walk us through a bit more about what the training consists of, Louise.
Sure. So we're still quite a small company at the moment, it's something we're just testing out at the moment. So we've been having a go at visiting a few practices, but normally we offer sort of training in slots of 1 day at a time. But in a 1-day session, we can definitely run through all the basics and then spend an afternoon helping with specific configuration as well. But in terms of training, for a lot of practices, we find we can also do screen share sessions, especially if there's a larger group of people, and that's also really effective. And like an hour session, that's not the kind of thing we charge for, it would just be included.
Okay, cool. Katie has asked, can you put a budget on per task?
We don't have a per task budget at the moment, but we are going to be doing some more work next year around sort of client profitability, fees, billing, that kind of thing. So watch this space.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Louise. And Louise, we've got for people that want to explore Senta in a bit more detail. Obviously, there's a bit more to go into the software, whether people want to decide to start working with Senta. We've got, or you've got a webinar coming up for a kind of a deeper dive demonstration. What I'm going to do now, just at the bottom of the control panel here on the right hand side, I'm just going to, for people that want to jump on that webinar to explore Senta a bit further, I'm just going to enter in the invite to that demo now. So if people want to jump onto that, then there's the link. Just posted that in the chat box. Sure. But if there are any more questions, Louise, that was a really thorough job. Thank you very much. A couple more questions have just come in, so if you have got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm just going to start with Jerry's. Jerry uses Virtual Cabinet. Thousands of docs and emails saved. How would these be transferred?
So we have a service where we can help people transfer all of their documents over from other places. All that we have to make sure of is that your documents are organized by folder, by client name, because that's how they match up with the records. But get in touch with us. We have a great tool that can do that for you, that kind of does an overnight run and pulls all your documents through.
Okay, brilliant. And one's coming from Daisy. Can you see your team's workload visually to be able to plan for holiday covers on tasks and capacity?
So that's coming up as part of the Kanban production dates feature that I mentioned. That's going to give you people a much better visual overview. It can either be day by day, week by week, however you like, of work coming up, and you'll be able to view who in the team is doing what. And eventually that will be extended to include things like, total time that's allotted towards work and whether people will be available or not.
Okay, cool. And Mark has asked, we use DocuSoft. Assume you can do the same thing as with Virtual Cabinet.
Fairly sure that we can do. Drop us an email, and our CTO, who's created this wonderful tool, will be very happy to speak to you about your requirements in terms of getting documents over.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Louise. Thanks.
I did want to just add one extra thing. I realized that the link we have for the webinar isn't a sign-up link itself, because we still use Google Meet for that. The webinar will be on the 20th of November at 11 a.m. So if you do put yes Senta in the box, we'll contact you and send you more details about joining. Okay, brilliant. And just one final question, as we're still on the call, and then we'll wrap things up very quickly. Go on then. Is there a document signing system? Yes, in short, yes. In more detail, be very happy to show you in the demo, but that's included within the pricing for Senta. Brilliant. Okay, great. So yeah, we've had some people who have asked to be on that demo, Louise, which is great. So thanks for doing a great job. Thanks everyone for joining us on the webinar this morning. Thanks so much. Thanks to Louise, Darren and Trent. Just to give you a quick update on the show, 26th of March next year at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We're currently up to 1,200 registered accountants for that. Digitalaccountancyshow.co.uk if you're not already registered. Thank you for your time this morning.
and we'll be sending out some emails with our next upcoming webinars fairly soon. So thanks to our presenters, thanks everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks very much. Bye.